Raw Takes and Company. It's episode 6. Good to be back here with you. It's Andrew Hody. To my left is Jake Malensic. Right below me, Matthias Sandahar. And diagonal of me is a good friend of mine, former colleague, and one of the play-by-play and color commentators of the. Is it play-by-play or color commentary, John?
A little bit of both in a baseball season.
A little bit of both. All right. So, a broadcaster, Great Lakes
Yeah.
Loons, a rivalry of our local, I would say a rivalry of our Lake County captains, of course, here in town. And you used to work for the captains as well when you were
Mhm.
with Cleveland. Um, Former colleague of mine, going back all the way to the fan days. John Vicari joins me here on Raw Takes and Company with Jake and Matthias. Welcome to your first show, John. And he's a big Giants fan, a New York native. So he's got a lot to say about Daboll here in a few minutes. John, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, with the Loons here in Michigan, so I got some Michigan perspectives. I lived enough in Ohio to see everything for a season, which was fun. And yeah, originally from New York, so I'll have some opinions on a lot of things. Maybe they'll all be wrong, maybe they'll all be right, but we'll have some fun, boys.
Thank you for
We have a
hopping
pretty
on,
good
John.
streak of being right, so we got to keep it going here. Matthias knocked the Bills out of the park, I think.
Yeah, I got to find my next
Yeah.
one.
So, John, I'll
We're
explain
out
it
on the
briefly.
Bills on this show, John. Just
Yes.
so you
So,
know.
the 4-game win streak at the beginning of the season that the Bills went on were against easy teams, and Matthias pointed it out to us. And so far, he's been right on the Bills being streaky, and New England's kind of been the team to watch. But
All
we'll
right.
get to that later. Let's get things going, though, in Major League Baseball. And to start things off, controversy right off the rip. Um, Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz indicted for the gambling scandal that took place. And because it's still an ongoing investigation, we're going to be, of course, very careful about how we discuss that here on the podcast. But I will say this, though, because we're going to keep this relative to the Guardians here. They had a lot to hide on this. A lot of us were wondering for months what was going to break out of here. And so far, this avalanche came out literally within the last couple weeks about how deep the rabbit hole ran. Uh, let's start with the Guardians fans here. Jake and Matthias, I'll open the floor to both of you. I mean, to me, this makes complete sense why the Guardians were silent on it in hindsight. Knowing the Guardians, they stay silent about a lot of stuff. But can you believe that this avalanche arrived?
Go ahead, Jake.
I it's unfortunately, I think what we should have expected or we should have been preparing for as fans of the team. It's just unfortunate that it was as bad as it was kind of the worst case scenario from a fan perspective, from a team perspective, and from a player for the players. It really was worst case scenario. So I don't want to say that I'm surprised at how bad it looked when it came out. I'm just frustrated that, kind of as you said, it frustrated that it took this long and that we didn't know for a while. You know, we were kind of just sitting here waiting for the inevitable to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and it sucks that the inevitable happened. And it is worse than it's worse than I thought, but it's still not anything. It wasn't. I wasn't expecting good to come from this. Let's put it at that.
All right.
Yeah, I agree. It was just like we knew that it was going to be bad, but to keep it purely on the team, I will just leave it with I'm curious how deeper this can go. Because yeah, like yeah, that's all I'm going to leave it at.
Right.
All right, John, I'll leave the floor open with you for a little more time here. What do you think? I mean, this indictment did take place in New York.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure. I mean, it's this was always the fear with sports getting in bed with sports gambling and the restrictions placed by Major League Baseball in terms of the prop bets is a smart play because this is the easiest avenue for players to get in and to not again impact games wholly, right? It wasn't like a throwing of a game, but a throwing of a pitch, and it's the easiest avenue for players. And when you open gambling up, like all the sports leagues have, it's easy to infiltrate. And from these guys' perspective, from Ortiz and for Clase, you're probably going under the guise of all right, maybe making my friends a little money, making a little scratch on the side, just because all right, one ball to start a count is not going to put my team in jeopardy. At least that's the thought process. But it can't happen. You can't shift the market like that. Those guys should have been aware enough of that. But I think Major League Baseball did the right recall of saying, listen, we can't have these prop bets, happen. And it's going to sting for Major League Baseball. I mean, what helps all these sports leagues and why they're in bed with these gambling companies is because it helps the sport. We love, watching football and placing money on the spread picks and stuff like that. But the easiest way to infiltrate in all sports, because we've already seen it with the NBA and Jonte Porter, we've already seen it here in baseball with the now two Guardians pitchers. It's these prop picks, these individual picks, and it influences the game. And us, when when anyone gambles, you don't have that knowledge going into it. It's always the risk you run. But they're trying to make it as fair as they can. But this is always going to be an issue. Of course, it wouldn't have been an issue if you never legalized it in the first place. But the movement that we've seen in really our college years, like us collectively, the last 5 to 10 years. Like when I was in college, I had to drive to Pennsylvania if I wanted to bet, and I went to school in New York. And now you can't escape it, which is just amazing. But I expect more of this to come. Hopefully not. For at least the Guardians, especially because you guys are fans, obviously. But it's probably just the beginning, and the leagues are going to have to put restrictions on it, and the NBA and Major League Baseball already have.
That's a lot
Can
of
I add
points.
just one other interesting thing about it is how volatile this is, but also there was a clip going around of Andy Pajes swinging and missing at one of Clase's intentional balls. And that goes into a deeper rabbit hole of even something that's supposed to be a guarantee isn't always a guarantee. And then like that could have been an even bigger issue for Clase when he's supposed to throw an intentional ball and the guy swings and misses at it. And it's this interesting, like we talked about, it's an interesting rabbit hole of how often has that happened more, where something was supposed to go one way. And especially in a sport like baseball, if you think a pitch is in the strike zone, you're going to swing at it, regardless if the guy's aiming at the strike zone or not. So it's just another interesting layer to how many times did Clase supposed to throw a ball and the guy swung and missed? Outside of the one clip that we have, I'm sure there's more. And that's scary to think about as a Guardians fan watching him pitch, especially last year when he lost the closer job in April for 3 weeks because he wasn't good.
To me, like, this is just an incredible sequence that took place. And, best lesson for anybody in this situation is bet responsibly. And if you're an athlete, you're a millionaire. Do you have to bet? Honestly, what's the point of betting if you're already a millionaire? That's just me. That's how I'll leave it. But, obviously with the question still going on in the courts, I don't want to go too much into the legalities of what may transpire here, but unbelievable the avalanche that's kind of taken place so much longer after the suspensions took place too. I just think the time on this and the Guardians being quiet about stuff is no secret. And clearly in this instance, now that this is all coming out, it's just unbelievable, especially right after the baseball season. But speaking of the Guardians, before we move off baseball, and for a little bit, of course, until probably when pitchers report or any offseason moves, Stephen Vogt is the AL Manager of the Year. Paul Skeens winning the Cy Young. Maybe the future Yankees pitcher, John. I'm not too sure, but any thoughts on that? To me, I think Stephen Vogt deserved it, especially because I think AJ Hinch managed his way out of it. So I'll leave the floor open to whoever wants to speak first on these two.
I'll quickly comment on Vogt. We kind of hit it. He had two players that were playing against the team this year and still made the playoffs. So that's pretty impressive. Two of his pitchers were pitching against him. So it's a win. And it's well deserved. He's a great manager. Doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah, especially after the transition of having a manager like Terry and then him having to take over that role. Those are big shoes to fill, and he still did an amazing job. The Guardians were able to make it to the playoffs. Was it the way that we wanted it to? No, but when the team needed it, he was able to talk to the players, got them hot, or not that he did it by himself, but he was able to manage the way that he needed to get us into the playoffs when it looked like we were dead in the water. But either way, he did a fantastic job this year.
Yeah, Vogt was deserving. Skeens too. I will say, in terms of NL Manager of the Year, I went to Murphy of the Brewers, and they were great. 100-win season. I don't think anyone thought they were gonna do what they were going to do. But Francona with the Reds, I didn't think
Yeah,
the Reds
that was
got in the playoffs. I thought, he came in second place. I understand giving it to Murphy, but Francona deserves some props too.
I agree. Francona does deserve some props. The Reds made a pretty big turnaround. And I think it's been like over 10 years since they last made the playoffs, too. You might have to check me on that. But
they made it
yeah.
in 2020, but
Oh,
they
during
hadn't
the
made
COVID
it in like
season.
a full season since like 14. So it's been a long time since they were in the real playoffs.
Makes
Because
perfect
2020
sense in the
doesn't
world.
like really count.
There's asterisks next to a lot of it, but I'm sure the Dodgers would like to say they've won 3 World Series over the last decade. So,
One
all
more
right.
thing,
Mhm.
quick. How many
Yeah.
Cy Youngs is Paul Skeens going to win before it's said and done? Like 8?
Well, the question is, when is he going to be a Yankee? And I'm sure John is very excited about
We got to
that.
stop talking about that.
Or when
Let's
is he
let
going to
these
be a
Pirates
Dodger?
fans
That's the
enjoy
other
him while
I was
one.
he's
gonna
there,
say,
all
at
right?
this point, when is he going to be a Dodger?
Livy Dunn probably wants LA more than New York. So,
That's probably true,
yeah.
but let's let this man be a Pirate. He's going to win 3 Cy Youngs
And
in
if the Miami
Pittsburgh.
Marlins ever spent money, I feel like that would be also a great destination.
Also a pretty
But
good
they
place to
don't.
go.
They don't spend money, so it's very doubtful that that'll ever happen. All
Hey,
right.
we
Let's.
know what the weather's like in Pittsburgh. It's not great. She's not
Hey,
going to like that.
I know.
remember she's from New Jersey originally, so
Oh, I
not
didn't think
not
about
right
that.
next to Pittsburgh,
Great.
not like
Great.
completely over the on the other side of the country. But yeah, Skeens will get his money sometime.
All right.
Hopefully from Pittsburgh. Everybody wants that.
But
Please.
we all know how the Pirates operate. They are a much worse version of the Guardians, except the Guardians know how to win. The Pirates don't. Let's move on to football. And we're going to start off with John for this one. I'm going to leave the floor open to him on the firing of Giants head coach Brian Daboll. Go ahead, John.
No, sure. I mean, my first reaction was, all right, scapegoat. He's not the entirety of the problem with New York. I think they just wanted to change. It was amazing. Obviously, the first year when I was still working in Ohio too, by the way, a playoff year, a win against the Vikings in the postseason, and you felt confident that he was the future. He had some bad breaks this year. Neighbors being out for the season, Cam Scatterbo too. But I think just the way he coached and really, there wasn't expectations for the Giants to win a whole lot of games this year, but the way that they have lost games this year has just been brutal. Just blowing fourth quarter leads, whether it was last week to Chicago against Denver. You can go even all the way back when before Dart took the job, losing that shootout against the Cowboys. It's just the fashion and the coaching style down the stretch from him was just more conservative. I think there was definitely some egos in terms of the front office too. I'm confident in Joe Shane, their general manager, and I think to extend his leash, he felt getting a coach who was more in lockstep with him. Daboll was his guy, but the wins just weren't there. So I wouldn't be surprised if Daboll gets another coaching job and has success, whether he's an offensive coordinator somewhere, he returns to Buffalo in some capacity, or he goes somewhere else. But he's not the entirety of the scapegoat. Again, there's a lot more issues with the Giants roster construction wise. They haven't had an offensive line in 10 years. They haven't, they can't keep players healthy on that MetLife turf. For whatever reason, you can look into the statistics of that, which is just nuts. And hopefully, the World Cup coming in the summer could help things in terms of like, all right, let's get some turf in there that doesn't tear ACLs every freaking season like it does. But yeah, I think they needed a little bit of a change, and you do it when you have the young quarterback that you've already seen can work with Dart, who's hurt right now in concussion protocol. But when he's been healthy, he's been good. And the guys that are hurt, have been contributors in Neighbors and Scatterbo. You have a good pass rush, and you get just a new jolt, a new energy, and a new culture in there for next year, which I think was needed because all these pieces in place, and they still just couldn't win games down the stretch this year.
I'm going to chime in real quick before I leave the floor to you, Jake and Matthias. Daboll, I think an indictment against him for this firing is this. Why did he play Russell Wilson when they're up 20-10 when Jackson Dart got concussed? You're about to win that game against Chicago. Why do you put Russell Wilson in and not Jameis Winston? I mean, listen, I'm not saying Jameis Winston isn't turnover prone, but like to me at this point, Jameis Winston's a better quarterback than Russell Wilson. And I'm a huge Jameis fan, as Jake and Matthias both know. So I would have put in Jameis Winston. I feel like that should be against Brian Daboll too, for blowing that game in particular. Obviously, the Denver Broncos game, big mess. Blown a lot of leads. The Saints game, they believe they blew a lead into. I mean, for me, like this was coming from a long time ago. Brian Daboll had to go, and it's unfortunate because I do think he's a good head coach, and I think he will get another job elsewhere, at least as a coordinator. But overall, for me, like, I don't get why he just didn't put Jameson over Russell Wilson, because to me, Russell Wilson is done. I don't see his career rebounding. Sorry, I know we're a little limited on time, Jake and Matthias, but if you guys have anything, go ahead.
I don't mind taking this one, Jake.
Go ahead.
Okay, so to me, it's two things. Why was he brought in, and what did he do since then?
One
And he was
playoff.
brought in because he was the guy that, well, he was brought in because he was the guy that quote unquote revitalized Josh Allen. And then they were like, oh, well, we have this Daniel Jones guy. And Daniel Jones didn't turn into Josh Allen, but he made do with what he had. And that is an indictment on him. But on the other side of it, he made do with what he had. And he didn't have much. And like just continually, like, especially this season, it wasn't really his fault that Jackson Dart got another concussion. It wasn't really his fault that Cam Scadaboo's foot could wave to his kneecap. It wasn't his fault that Neighbors got injured. Like, he did play conservative, but if we're firing people off of conservative play calling, then you should go down and have a conversation with Green Bay. Like,
Oh, wow.
like there's a lot that he did wrong, but there's a lot he did right. And I don't think that he was the main problem. So yeah, that's kind of like what John said. Like, I do feel like it's a scapegoat, but at the same time, it's like, is this really going to improve the 2-8 season?
I mean, that's a good point, Matthias. That's a good point. I don't know if like Daboll should be like the true fall guy for this, and but at the
The
same
head coach
time,
is unfortunately always the
I
fall
know,
guy.
I know
It's
they
just how
are.
this goes in this league.
I mean, I'll say
Somebody
this.
has to be it, and it can't be the owner. And it's the coach is the easiest one to just say
I'll just say
to
this. I think
replace.
idiotic he believed in Russell Wilson more than Jameis Winston. That's and now you see Jameis Winston starting this week. And I mean, listen, Jameis Winston turns the ball over. I'm not going to argue that, but like I would have put Jameis Winston in over Russell Wilson. We've seen at the beginning of the season that Russell Wilson cannot play anymore.
I mean,
Jackson Dart is the future, I think, for this franchise. But that's just me. And John, as the Giants fan, I'll leave it to you of what direction you think, if Jackson Dart is the future, if they should keep rolling with Jameis the rest of the season.
Yeah, God, I hope Dart is, man. I really do. I've loved what I've seen from him. I hope he is. I mean, in terms of them putting Wilson over Winston, financials too, they gave Wilson more money during the offseason than Winston. Even though he crapped the bed in the first 3 weeks, and it was just not great from him overall. But yeah, I'm hoping Dart is the future. And you guys made some good points. Like the Giants, what surprised me most about the Giants usually never make mid-season coaching firings. I know we said like that with Chicago, and then they fired Eberflus. Sometimes just something happens where you have to make that call. It's also worth considering too, and it's a little bit of a down note, but John Mara, who's their owner, he's cancer right now. So him and Steve Tisch are co-owners in terms of the New York Giants brain trust. And, like from him, I think maybe just a mind shift perspective where he had longer leashes with head coaches, but I think he sees a future that can be winning even next season. And I think he just knows in his heart of hearts that Daboll isn't that guy in his opinion.
Well, prayers up for John Mara as well. I just found out I didn't know until now. So prayers up for him. He's been a terrific owner over his
and that's speculation on my part. It's not like there's anything in terms of pieces saying that. It's just I've watched how he's dealt with the Giants over the last couple of years, and it just mid-season firings just never happened. And honestly, we'll give Daboll a pat on the back. Judge, Joe Judge, Shermer, guys who could have been fired mid-season and had more reason to than Daboll.
Trust me, in Cleveland, we have a lot to say about Pat Shermer too.
Yeah, we love firing coaches in the middle of the season. We're great at that.
Fire Shermer
we do that better than anybody.
We fired Shermer at the end of 2012, but that was Haslam's first year here. So
we love a fire coach. That's our favorite.
Well, prayers up for John Mara. I mean, over his tenure as a New York Giants owner, he's honestly done a terrific job. He's watched them win Super Bowls over his tenure. So even though they've been a mess as of lately, prayers up for him. And hopefully the Giants are on the right track with this move. Paul DePodesta, just really quickly, we didn't get to touch it last week because the podcast came out on Thursday and this news broke Thursday. He's going to the Rockies. He's going back to baseball. I think the movie Moneyball would tell you he belongs in baseball. And as a Browns fan, I would just say,
Thank God he's gone.
yeah, it's time to move on. I mean, what did he ever do? Was he the architect behind 1-31? Was he the guy that wanted Hugh Jackson? He allegedly wanted Kevin Stefanski in 2019 over Freddie Kitchens, which heck, that might have been the right move in all honesty, but still, I mean, to me, like, I mean, 1-31, I feel like he was the architect for that. And then we did build the roster with the picks we got. But like, what credit did he really do? I feel like that was all Dorsey and Barry that got us the talent for the 2 playoff victories. And now we see where the Browns are now. I mean, to me, this move is long since overdue. And I think he belongs in baseball. And I'm glad he got a baseball job. I think he could fix the Rockies based on what he did with Oakland back in the day. What do you guys think?
My only thoughts on this are he's been around, he's been here what, since 16, 17, something like that.
Yeah.
How many coaches, GMs,
Hugh
presidents
Jackson, Greg Williams,
have
and
gotten fired?
Yeah. Freddie
And
Kitchens and Stefanski, yeah.
there's been one guy that lived through all of that, and it was him. How did he, of all of these people, not get like you fire 7 coaches and 5 GMs, but you keep Paul DePodesta because why? And that's what it was so weird to me was when you're making these firings and you're mass getting rid of people, there's one guy that they always kept, and it's like when you're always it was just so weird to me that this guy survived 1-31. He survived the good Baker year. He survived the bad Baker year. He survived another good Baker year. He survived another bad Baker year. He survived last year that was bad. He's gonna probably would have survived this year if it was bad. Like somehow this guy was just unfireable. And so it's interesting that this is what it took for him to leave Cleveland. I think he's going to do well in Colorado, but it's just so weird to me that all the people that lost their jobs for the Browns in the past decade and Paul DePodesta just kept on plugging along, doing whatever it is he was doing, creating the worst trade in NFL history.
Before we move on from this, do you think this means, like Jake, as the Browns fan, I'll just ask before we go on to the NFL slate of games, do you think that this means that we could be elevating Andrew Berry, or we could be looking for other executives in other places? I mean, to me, like, I don't know if, to me, it seems like a sign of that you could do that, but like, does Andrew Berry really deserve it with how the roster is currently constructed? And if you elevate Andrew Berry, I mean, Kevin Stefanski is his guy. So do you think that you move off of Kevin Stefanski? I mean, I know we got
the way that they've
I'm wondering
operated.
for you.
We talked about this a couple of weeks ago after the Newsom trade. The way that they operate, that him and Barry and Stefanski has operated, leads me to believe they're both coming back next year.
And I'm all for it, by the way. I've always been a proponent. I am not for firing Stefanski, but go on.
Whether he deserves a promotion or not is really an interesting topic because there's some really high highs and some really low lows. Both trading for and away Amari Cooper are amazing trades. The Travis Hunter trade back is looking really good. The Tyson Campbell Greg Newsom swap is looking really good. So like there's highs. There's also drafting Anthony Schwartz over Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like there's lows too.
Mm-hmm.
Does he deserve it? No, but I wouldn't be surprised because he's also done a lot of good things for this team. It also does make sense. That's how we do things. We do weird stuff, like hire a baseball executive to be your president.
That's the Browns in a nutshell, always making really out-of-the-box decisions, and I'm still not excited about that stadium being built. All right, we're going to move on to the slate of NFL games here. John, I'll just introduce you this a little bit here. We pick our 9 favorite games of the week. We introduce them. We'll ask you for your opinion on them as well. Give us your thoughts about the teams, the game, and the future for both of those teams moving forward. Matthias,
unless we run out of time, because I'm taking the whole 2.5 minutes on the Browns because
John is with us. We're doing 3 minutes today.
Great, so then that's even better. That gives me more things to air out.
All right, so 3 minutes on the Steelers and the Chargers. Matthias will lead things off.
You know, I'm
What's
done.
up, baby?
I'm so done.
Now I just realized Jake is wearing that
By the
jersey
way,
on purpose.
This
but
is a Melvin Gordon Chargers
Chief
jersey
Wahoo. Chief
from like
Wahoo.
circa 2017.
but anyways, like
Yeah.
this team frustrates me beyond no end because there's weeks where they look like they can be contenders. And then there's last week. Like it was just bad. And 25-10 unfortunately made the game seem closer than what it actually was. Like we have our defense that looks amazing for 2 plays, and then we have our defense that makes anyone look like prime Tom Brady. Like it's phenomenal how inconsistent the Steelers are, and even with a hurting offensive line, Justin Herbert was able to go for 220 yards. Like it's just unreal to me, especially what they did with the Colts. Like the Colts are a more run heavy team. The defense is more built against to stop the run, but it's just
And didn't
why
the Chargers get smoked by the Colts, if I recall correctly?
The Chargers did, yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Well, that's parity for you in the NFL.
Yeah, but either way, just like it's so inconsistent, and like even the rushing defense wasn't there, or it wasn't fully there, and their passing defense. The whole reason why you got rid of Minka was because Minka would not make a play 90% of the game, and then when it comes down to the wire, 10% of that time he would make a big play.
That was my favorite part about Minka Fitzpatrick's tenure with the Steelers. It was so much fun.
But then you get rid of him, so then now your entire defense doesn't play defense for 90% of the time, and then 10% they just become the steel curtain. Like it doesn't make sense. I'm completely bought out on. I'm completely selling out on the Steelers. I'm still going to root for them every week, but man, I think the Chargers, if they get healthy, they have a chance to be a one and done, but they need to be healthy. Yeah, Jake.
Where are you on with Mike Tomlin as a fan? Like because I know it's a polarizing topic in Steeler land.
Since we fired Matt Canada and our offense didn't change, that's when I started looking at Mike Tomlin.
That's fair.
Like I think he should.
Because I agree. Like Matt Canada was probably the problem. Well, I thought he was a problem too.
Yeah, like I think he's one of the best Steelers coaches in a team that has a lot of great coaches, but he's still playing in 2010, and we can't have that anymore.
All right, John, do you have anything on that game?
I'm sorry, I had to.
I'm gonna do the same thing for the Browns, dude.
This is what I'll say, Matthias. Man, your plates are valid, but man, I'd love to be complaining with a 5-4 division leading team.
Preaching to the choir over here, man.
The Ravens are coming back. I mean,
that rear view's objects in mirror are closer than they appear. Man,
the Ravens are favored to win the division, so
I will say this. Same old Steelers. They shouldn't fire Tomlin. But same old Steelers and the Chargers are good. That's the only thing I have to say. All right, Jake, you're leading off the Jets and the Browns because I have nothing to say about this one. Go ahead.
Oh, here we go.
Here's the thing. I've talked about this. This is maybe the third or fourth time that I've called for Bubba Ventrone's job, and I feel so bad because, look, here's the deal. I've met Bubba. He's a cool guy. He was running when we were in the Greenbrier for training camp. This man was running barefoot laps around the football field. He's a football guy through and through. But I don't think that he can coach special teams, and I think that's pretty important as the special teams coordinator. When you give up a kickoff return and a punt return touchdown and lose by a touchdown or whatever the final score was, I stopped. I turned it off. It's bad. It's not good. And you could say what you want about the offense in this game. You could say what you want about the defense in this game. You could say what you want about everybody else that's not the special teams. But this is a weekly occurrence. The fact that I have to talk about how bad the coordinator is for the third most important of the three major things is concerning. And that's only problem number one. You got a quarterback who can't throw the ball. That's another problem. You've got a defense that I think is good, but also doesn't want to play good all the time. And you've got wide receivers who can't really get open. So yeah, there's more than just the special teams problem. But boy, like when I rewatched that game, I think if we don't give up that punt return touchdown or that kick return touchdown, the whole outlook of that entire football game is different. And if Dylan Gabriel doesn't airmail a screen pass over a 6'1" receiver's head and throw it 3 feet over his head, like it's a different game. I just like I'm tapped out, dude. I know you are too, Andrew. But like, man, it's just like so hard every week to know what's going to happen and it be the same thing every time. I know you're going to have a bad special teams moment and it's going to probably cost you. In that Steelers game, you rough the punter on 4th and stupid long and they get the first down. And this isn't just a this year problem. This happened in the playoff year. James Prochet dropped a punt against the Ravens and we almost lost. This is a consistent bad football all the time. On a positive note, I thought Tommy Rees called a great game. I thought Dylan Gabriel didn't execute Tommy Rees's good game plan. I thought he missed open receivers. I thought he didn't. I just don't know that he is this super processor computer that we think that he is. That's what they told us. That's what we were supposed to believe, and he hasn't done anything. I know I only left you guys 10 seconds, but I'm just out, man. I need to see Shador soon.
As a native Clevelander and lifelong Browns fan, you well know, Jake, I'm very frustrated with the franchise as a whole. So to me, like I didn't even watch the game, I didn't even pay attention to it. And to me, like if they put in Shador Sanders, fine. See what he can do. Totally fine with me. Putting Dylan Gabriel back, fine. I don't really care at this point. To me, I think if Shador goes in and he stinks, it's actually better for Stefanski's job because like it proves he was right. But if Shador goes in there and lights it up, then Stefanski's got to go. That's been my opinion on this. I still think because I have questions about Shador either way,
He can't be any
but
worse, bro.
I
There's no
honestly,
way.
to me,
If
I
he's
don't know
worse
if
than
I
that,
Shador to me is not even box office for this franchise right now, man. I'm so frustrated by the stadium stuff as it is. It's the Browns need to prove a lot to me before a lifelong Browns fan, could buy back in. 2023 feels miles away, and it's hard to believe that team even made the playoffs in hindsight. But they did. And they extended Stefanski. And I even said in 2024 Stefanski was still on the hot seat because a disaster could happen. And it looks like that's a situation. But I'm not going to ramble too much about that right now because I am frustrated with the Bills. Not the Bills, the Browns. I'm about to talk about the Bills. That's my first game of the week. Bills Dolphins is the game I picked. Because the Dolphins are my second team, and I'm frustrated with them too. So, but I don't know how they won this game. In all honesty, Mike McDaniel looked like he called a great game in this one. Matthias's theory on the Bills being streaky is still true. It's a divisional game, and divisional games are weird. I'm not going to argue that. But I'll say this too: that South Florida was packed for that game. There was a lot of Dolphins fans in the stands. I don't know if people saw that. They were ramped up and ready to win that game. Maybe firing Chris Greer was enough. I don't think it was. I still think that Mike McDaniel has to go too. But having said that, though, Buffalo is very concerning right now. They have a lot of things they don't do very well. And to me, I feel like New England is just solidifying the AFC East. And they could even do it when they play against the Jets. I mean, they look like the real deal. And we can talk about New England later. But to me, like, the Bills are streaky. Matthias is right on that. And the Dolphins still got a lot of work to do in terms of their personnel, but they played a good game plan out against the Bills, and I have to give them credit for that. We'll start with John for this one. Do you have any thoughts on the Bills and Dolphins?
What was it? Yeah, I mean, it was a shocking final. I didn't see much of that game. But I mean, the theme of the week for me was coaches trying to save their jobs, and McDaniel was one of them. And then what was it? Daboll was the other, and that didn't happen. But yeah, that was a shocking result when I saw it. But I didn't see much of that game, so not much I could say on that.
Jake Matthias, floor open.
John took my point of I thought McDaniel had his team playing for his job. So credit to him for getting to play like that, and credit to him for saving his job.
Yeah. looking at the other side of the coin for the Bills, I think it's interesting. For some reason, it's not if you stop Josh Allen, it's if you also stop James Cook. Because I swear, if James Cook gets like less than 70 yards, they have lost more games than they've won. And like it's so odd to think about it because you don't go to a Bills game and think, "Oh boy, we have to stop James Cook." And like it's also the problem that we had said earlier in the year with like the lack of receivers. Like he, Josh Allen would have loved Stephon Diggs from 3 years ago. Right now, like he would love like a star receiver, but like he's still making do. But it's starting to get to the point where it might not be enough. And if you're trying, like you just beat the Chiefs, how is that not enough? And I already called out on that Chiefs win last week. Like it's looking scary if you're a Bills fan, and I wouldn't expect much.
I'll say
The
this: New
James
England
Cook
keeps chipping
stuff.
away.
Oh, sorry.
Go
The
on, no, I'm
James
sorry.
Cook stuff is extra damning because they don't have the receivers. Like that's a great way to tie all of that together is you stop their running game. They kind of don't have the weapons outside to beat you when they can't scheme for it. You force them to like be throw heavy, and it's like a little bit harder to run their normal. We're gonna have Josh Allen do crazy stuff, and we're gonna have him run options and RPOs because you're not gonna bite if the run game. You're not gonna bite on a run game if you're stopping it because you're not scared of Khalil Shakir. You're just not. It's unfortunate.
Yeah,
How did they not trade for Rashid Shaheed
something.
or
I
well anything? That's crazy,
well,
man.
we're gonna move on now to our next game. Matthias, this was your pick here: Broncos and Raiders.
All right, I love ugly games. I'm a Steelers fan. Those things are mutually exclusive. Or I mean, are not mutually exclusive.
I
Um,
I agree with you on ugly games, but these were two of the worst primetime games this weekend that we ever saw, in my opinion. But I'll leave that for later. Go on.
but yeah, this was one of the games of all time, and made me this made me think of like, okay, what the heck is actually going on with Denver? Because like Denver has been a great team, but they've also been a bad team. They've won shootouts, they've won close games. They're 8-2 for a reason, but looking back at their schedule, they've won against the Titans, Bengals, Jets, Giants, Cowboys, Texans, and then the Raiders. Those aren't like I skipped out on like a couple of them that were like actual contenders, like actually one, the Eagles, but like your defense can't win games for you. They can do it in the regular season, yes, but like the saying, defense wins championships, but you also need an offense to be freaking consistent. Because even in that Giants win, it was not because of having a complete game. Like it was you needed a miracle and a half. And I feel like the Broncos are running on a miracle season. But I want to see what you guys think as well. If you guys want to talk about Oakland as well, be my guest. But
Who's
yeah,
that?
what?
Oakland. They don't have
Las
sports
Vegas.
teams there
Oh
anymore.
my
Las
gosh.
Vegas.
Yeah, Las Vegas. They were so bad I sent them back.
Vegas,
John's our
the
guest,
fans in
so
Vegas
we should
probably wish they were
open up the
still in
floor to
Oakland.
John first. Do you have any thoughts on this
Go ahead,
primetime
John.
game?
No, that's good point from Jacob. Make sure everyone knows no Oakland. Obviously, it was a misspeak, but Oakland sucks, man. The fact that Fisher drove out the A's,
That sucks, dude.
it's
Oh,
ridiculous. The fact that all happened this year, that's my main point. But yeah, poor people of Oakland, they deserve at least one team. Even the Warriors didn't want to stick around.
Oh.
at least the
I'm sorry,
Warriors went
Oakland
over the
fans.
bridge.
But,
uh,
but my takeaway is
uh.
that Bo Nix needs to be better, dude. He's just not been that good. We
Who's
talked
never
about this
been
a
a
little
fan of
last
Bo
week.
Nix? This guy. Who said
What's
he's
that?
given who's never been a fan of Bo Nix? This guy. Who's giving
We
props to him
talked
because
about
the
that. I think
Broncos
it
are
was.
winning? This guy, but like I still don't believe in him. I'll be very
I
honest.
think we talked about this last week on the pod about this
Yeah, we
team's going to
did.
go as far as I mean, and it's an obvious thing. You're going to go as far as your quarterback takes you, but
Yeah,
It's
I
really
don't
obvious.
know how far Bo Nix can take this team.
I believe in
Yeah,
Sean Payton. I believe in Patrick Surtain. I do not believe in Bo Nix.
You
Patrick
can have an
Surtain's
elite defense
good,
and
but
win
he's
a
not going to win you a
championship.
championship.
You can have an elite defense and win a championship if your quarterback is Peyton Manning.
I agree with that.
It's not going to work with Bo Nix playing the way that Bo Nix is playing.
Well, they have Kansas City this upcoming week, so we'll have to see if all the hype lasts as we move on to the Colts and Falcons. Jake's second team, even though he's got the Chargers jersey on, heading over to Berlin, Germany for this one. And I was the idiot that picked the Falcons because they're so random. But Jake,
Yeah,
you can
you
go
were.
ahead and talk about it.
I just want Jonathan Taylor to win the MVP, man. He's not going to. It's a quarterback award these days. So, a running back's never going to win it, probably ever again. But boy, if there's somebody who's the most important player on their team, the true most valuable player in the league, it's not Drake May, it's not Sam Darnold, it's not it's Jonathan Taylor. He has more 3 touchdown games this season than numerous NFL teams, including the one that I root for. He has more 3 touchdown games than teams do. He has 4 of them this year. This is the Jonathan Taylor that they expected when they took him out of Wisconsin. This was a Jonathan Taylor we got young in his early career before the injuries. It's just awesome to see his comeback. I thought, honestly, Danny Dimes played a much cleaner game. It wasn't his best, but I look at a lot of that. I look back at that game, and my main concern was Shane Steichen had no idea what he was doing for 60 minutes of that football game. A lot of bad fourth down decisions, a lot of not taking the points when he needed to take points. It was a weird game. It never felt like Atlanta should have been in it, and then they kept being in it. And yeah, you kind of hit on the Falcons. Dude, I don't know. Drake London's really good, and the rest of that team should be really good. And
Bijan Robinson's also really good.
Yeah, I think
That's
it might
it.
be out on Penix. So it's not great that
Well,
you took
John,
Michael Penix where you did, despite the money you gave Kirk Cousins, and I don't think either one of them are your future quarterback. So that's concerning, but I'll open up the floor.
John, your former quarterback was Daniel Jones. You have any thoughts?
Dude, it's amazing when everything is a perfect system, right? A great offensive line, a great, a premier running back. It's amazing the Giants are like, oh, let's trade Saquon. It's like, no, let's maybe help Daniel Jones and have a premier running back with him and see what he could do with Jonathan Taylor. But yeah, I mean, Jones needs the perfect system, in my opinion. He's an above average quarterback, but if you give him the perfect system like Indy's given him, you're going to have success, and that's what he's doing. He's making the throws that are necessary, even being like top 5 in like turnover worthy plays this year. He's still making the throws necessary to get them wins. From the Atlanta perspective, we do a show on the Mitt, which is the station I work for here in Michigan. We do spread picks. The Falcons are kind of like banned. We just can't pick them. Like they're too up and down. We just ban them. We can't.
I wish we could do that on our picks.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm the idiot that picked Atlanta last week, but we'll talk about one sentence, one pick in a little bit once we get to the slate of Week 11 games. But we're going to move on now to the Texans and the Jaguars.
Go Texans, baby! Let's go!
This is the game Jake got right last week. And
Davis
I
Mills
say,
Hive.
this rivalry, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Houston Texans rivalry, is probably one of the most useless rivalries in all of football. But they have some dramatic games and finishes. Like David Garrard in 2010 had that crazy Hail Mary to Mike Sims Walker to win that game, 31-24 or whatever. But this game ending was like just as crazy. And it was a scoregami, by the way, 36-29, first one in a long time in this season. And there's a new scoregami account, I think, too, that's calling all the scores right this time.
He's better than the old one.
But yeah, no offense to the
even they did the midseason firing.
What I was going to say, though, is this. Davis Mills outplayed Trevor Lawrence completely. That 14-yard rush, it earned my respect for him as a backup quarterback. I'll say that. And you guys know on this podcast, I've been preaching that this is Trevor Lawrence's comeback year, that the Jaguars were going to be better than the Colts and win the South, and that the Texans, without C.J. Stroud, were toast. But Davis Mills rose to the occasion. He was honestly probably the best player on that field the other day. He outplayed Trevor Lawrence completely. He outplayed the Jags defense. D'Amico Ryans coached his ass off. I want to say that as well.
He always does, man.
He always. I mean,
awesome.
he's gotten a lot of heat this year because the Texans had such a bad start. But the Texans deserve a ton of credit for this win. They really do. And Davis Mills outplayed Trevor Lawrence. And honestly, shame on Trevor Lawrence. Shame on the Jaguars. Liam Cohen is still a rookie head coach, and I still believe in him. And that win against Kansas City, Trevor Lawrence played out of his mind. We need to see more consistency from the Jags. That's why I personally think they traded for Jacoby Myers. They need another weapon of some sort, and he's the guy for it. But still, how do you blow a 29-10 lead like that against a team that stunk really most of this year to a backup quarterback in Davis Mills? The floor is open. As I said, props to the Texans again. One way to win a game.
I'm curious to hear what John thinks about Trevor Lawrence because we've kind of talked about him here. I'm curious to get a guest perspective on it.
Yeah, I think he sucks. Nothing. I always made the comparison when Jones was on the Giants that him and Lawrence were the same quarterback, and I always got pushback because Lawrence's stats were better. But one playoff win, he just I don't know. He just doesn't impress me. And there's some games I'm like, you know what? Like maybe I'm just not valuing him, and then there's other games I'm like, yeah, it's like he's just a bottom 10 quarterback in this league, and I mean, listen, Brian Thomas has fallen off the face of the earth, and is that scheme, is that defense is just taking him away? Hunter's not there for him anymore, but yeah, and also too, like I made those comparisons to Jones. It's hard for a young quarterback to have three different head coaches, three different coordinators. And that's, even before Jones was traded, I know it's a different coordinator now, and new team now, but with the Giants had three different, Lawrence has had three different. I mean, it came in the league with Urban Meyer. So it's
not a great start to your NFL career.
Yeah. Yeah. Both of them like landing spots. It would be interesting to see, if they were just a little better, but that's who they're drafted to. Bad franchises.
Big thing about this, guys, for me is, I've been a huge Trevor Lawrence defender. I can't defend a guy who let Davis Mills outplay him in dramatic fashion in a scoregami football game. I cannot do that. So I have to give up on the Jacksonville Jaguars as of right now.
We've talked ad nauseum on this show about Trevor Lawrence, and it's like, when are you going to have the game?
This was his opportunity.
Right. When are you going to have the game that we thought was terrible?
CJ Stroud is hurt. You have no business losing the game. You beat the Texans with CJ Stroud healthy. And Davis Mills outplayed him. And I want to give a big thank you to John Vicari for joining the podcast. He's going to step out. Thank you very much, John, for joining. And hopefully things turn around for your New York Giants as we get back to things. All right?
Yeah, maybe in a decade or so. But appreciate you guys. Hopefully the Giants
appreciate you having you on, man.
are big.
Take it easy. All right. Thank you very much, John.
Thanks, John.
And yep, we appreciate his contributions. Make sure to check out some of John Vicari's content as well. A great guy. Known him over the years from my days at the Fan, and it was great to have him on the show. Big time thank you to John for being our first guest on Raw Takes and Company. All right, we'll go back to 2.5 minutes for the remaining games, huh?
We are going to, I think at some point on this show, have to have a serious, deep conversation about Trevor Lawrence and like what are the Jaguars going to do? Because do you just pay him and hope?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what I feel like they're going to do.
Yeah, we
don't have to go into this now, but it just...
We make a 30-minute special on what the heck they should do with Trevor Lawrence.
It feels like they're in an impossible situation. Mm-hmm. You kind of just have to pay him and hope. Because he was number one overall pick, dude.
We'll have a serious conversation about Trevor Lawrence, I think, more towards when the season ends as well. Especially if the Jaguars figure out a way to make the playoffs, because I'm still not closing the door on that, but I'm definitely closing the door on my faith in him.
They suck, dude.
This was going to be the year that...
We should be... I'm rooting against them. I want that draft pick, dog.
Oh, I get that, too, for the Browns' sake, but...
Carnell Tate.
You can't let Davis Mills outplay you. I'm sorry. You can't do that.
Hey, man.
That's just... And Davis Mills, props to him. He proved himself as a backup quarterback. He's outplayed C.J. Stroud this year in that one game alone. With all due respect to C.J. Stroud, I still think C.J. Stroud long-term is going to be great. But that's just my opinion right now.
Davis Mills would be the smartest person in this room by the Stanford grad, smartest person in the Zoom call, times 5.
I was going to say probably combined.
I will say,
and we went to a great university, but we didn't go to Stanford.
We did not.
Shout out to him.
We did not. We did not. But I will say this, though. It's Matthias' turn, and I'm very fascinated to what interested him so deeply about the New Orleans Saints and Carolina Panthers.
There wasn't
What piqued your interest about this game?
there
'Cause
wasn't
I
much
found
else to
nothing
talk
about it.
about, and how the heck did the Saints win? This was like the week of the this was like a week of the worst team winning in a lot of weeks where there were a lot of teams that were the worst team that won. And like Carolina, they were the hotter team going in. They looked better. And they just wet the bed. I don't know what else to say. Like the Saints were like, "Hey, let's stop Rico Daboll and make us lose by Bryce Young." Which, now that I'm saying it out loud, reminds me of, "Hey, let's stop James Cook and see what Josh Allen does." Not
Except one is
calling.
good and one's Josh Allen and one's Bryce Young.
Yeah, I
That's
was
the
going to say,
difference.
not saying that Josh Allen is Bryce Young at all, but yeah, Tyler Show, like, out of what felt nowhere, because it kind of was, like, 282 yards, 19 for 27 for 2 touchdowns.
He was good, man.
I guess. Like
Him,
that,
him and Olave have a nice little. He was hitting Olave for some nice throws. I
which
was
is
impressed.
which like that in and of itself reminds me of Cincinnati of, oh, let me look at the best receiver and throw it there. Like, why haven't we been doing this earlier in the season? It's not like you have much else. Like, Alvin Kamara is kind of old at this point. He's still productive, but he's old. And like, yeah, just like the defense holding the Panthers to 7, and then the Saints able to put up 17, which isn't a lot in today's NFL, but is a lot if you're a Saints fan. And it's like, wow. So that's what interested me, which is absolutely nothing. It's just that I'm just dumbfounded, so I had to talk about it. There's about like 25 seconds if any of you guys want to talk about this game. Go
I
ahead,
have
Andrew.
nothing to say about the game. I have everything to say about the Carolina Panthers. Can you guys just pick a lane, be terrible or be good?
Tell that to the Falcons.
Okay,
Tell it to like
tell it to
half
the
the
Packers.
league, bro.
Half this league,
The entire league.
half this league can't pick if they're bad or good, man. I mean, Kansas City should be an all-world contender, but how good are they when they're third place in the AFC West right now, behind Denver and the Chargers? I mean, how good are the Buffalo Bills when they're in second place to New England, and New England looks like they're taking everybody down right now?
Hey,
So,
at
I
least
mean,
as Browns fans, we know where we stand.
Browns fans know. Yeah, the Browns know. The Jets know.
I know our
The
team
usual,
sucks.
the usual teams know where they stand right now. Like the Browns know they're bad. The Jets know they're bad. I think we know the Lions are good. I think we know the Eagles are good. I think we know. I would say the Rams are good. We could say those three teams. What about everybody else? I mean,
I have a team that's really good.
Yeah, I know you're going. I was leading right into the Seahawks Cardinals
Awesome.
game.
Seattle Seahawks, Arizona Cardinals played a game last week at 4:00 in the afternoon Eastern time, and it wasn't close. Seattle was up like 35-0 in the second quarter. My brother texted me during that game. He said, "I've never seen a team go up 35-0 in the second quarter." I said, "Neither have I. It's pretty wild, especially in the NFL." Buckeyes did it against Oregon last year, but that doesn't count. The point of this is we've talked about Seattle every week. I don't really have anything else to say about them. You guys kind of know where I stand with the Seahawks. I think they have one of the best, most underrated coaches in the league. Their defense is really fun. They have the best receiver who's got the coolest name. And I'm going to do something that has never before been done on this show, if my phone will show. I'm on the FanDuel app. If FanDuel is listening, I'd love a sponsorship. And I'm going to place $10 on the Seattle Seahawks to win the NFC. Thoughts?
I don't know if I would bet on the Seattle Seahawks winning the NFC, but I do respect the Seattle Seahawks tremendously for what Sam Darnold's doing, for what McDonald is doing as the head coach. Their defense has been great. Um, Offensively, they've been really impressive too, obviously, with the weapons they have at their disposal for Sam Darnold. So to me, I don't really have too much to say, but I am not willing to say they're going to win the NFC yet. I trust Philadelphia, Detroit, and the Rams before I trust anybody else in the NFC. Seattle has to prove it to me. Sam Darnold still hasn't proven when the moment rises that he can do it. And until that happens, I can't buy into Seattle. I just can't.
Here's why I'm scared. Their only 2 losses this season was against a healthy 49ers team in that amazing shootout in Tampa Bay
That
or
Tampa
against
game's
Tampa
fun,
Bay.
man.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, they've beaten the teams that they should have beaten, which is unfortunately more than you could say about a lot of other football teams.
I
And
mean,
they have,
I'll say this about Seattle. We just went on that tangent about teams don't know what they are. Sorry to cut you off, Matthias.
no, it's okay.
We don't know teams don't know what they are. At least we know what Seattle is. We know Seattle's good.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say about it.
I think we know they're good. I agree with that. But
But let Matthias finish. He had more to say. Let my
all
man
right, go
cook.
on.
Kind of to finish off your point, Jake, I think Seattle is consistently great where other teams have have higher highs and lower lows.
I think that's fine. I'm fine with that.
And like Seattle's my second favorite team. I would love it if Sam Darnold brought a Lombardi to the 12th man. But like, man, it's hard to trust it. Like I'm still looking at it and saying Sam Darnold. Like
Yeah.
the core looked amazing. The receiving core looked amazing. Rashid Shaheed, I don't remember if he played. I'm pretty sure he
He
played
was
in this
in
game.
there. He had one catch or he had at least one nice little catch.
Yeah, but like it already, even in the small sample size, it looked great. And I'm so hopeful. And as a Seattle fan that has been burned in the past, that makes me so scared. But I'm hopeful.
All right, the
Seattle at
final
LA
game.
this
Huh?
week, by the way, at 4:05.
And I,
Seattle
Seattle
at
at
LA.
Rams.
I will say my pick once we get to one sentence.
I don't have a pick for that one. That's scary.
Well, you're
Nope.
going to have to pick one. So,
Nope.
well, you
Forfeit.
have a 5-game lead right now in our bet for who is eating dinner, and you are going to
Gosh.
have to pick a winner in that game, unless you want to pick a tie. I mean,
I'm gonna pick a tie.
okay, I bet you that's not going to happen, but we'll see. All
Yeah.
right, final game, Bucks and Pats.
Great game.
Great game. Bucks came back. New England's the real deal. I picked New England this week between the three of us. I know you guys both picked Tampa Bay. As much as I respect Tampa Bay, as fun as they are to watch, and I'm willing to put them in the second tier to Philadelphia, Detroit, and the Rams in the NFC right now. But I still don't trust them all the way yet. But they played one hell of a game to come back. Probably another tough one against Buffalo. They could probably beat Buffalo. I'm not going to argue that, seeing on the tangent we are with the Bills not being as good as advertised. But we'll talk about that later. New England's the real deal. New England, to me, is possibly on their way to winning the AFC East, and nobody saw it coming. They've rattled off, what, like 7 wins in a row now? They've beaten beyond the teams they're just supposed to beat. They're beating teams that they weren't expected to beat. They beat Buffalo in Buffalo. They still have to host Buffalo, which could be a whole nother story, but the New England Patriots are definitely going to make the playoffs. What they're going to do in the playoffs, I still question, but I'll be honest with you, Mike Vrabel's on a roll, might be coach of the year. Uh, I don't know. New England to me is just there's something about them that's gritty, that's fun. They feel like a Mike Vrabel football team, and I don't think anybody saw them coming. Floor's open.
So I'm looking at the stats again and the schedule. They have had a blessed schedule.
That's true.
But
They did lose to the Raiders week 1, but that's like their only like really weird.
Well, they had like a
well, no, they lost to the Steelers week 1,
Yeah.
and then week 2 they lost to the Raiders, and then they haven't lost since.
crazy.
So they started. I don't think
yeah,
they started 0-2, did they?
they started 0-2, and then
Because they played Miami week 2, and they beat Miami. I remember I watched that game. But you might be right. I mean, I'll double check here.
I don't know. Yeah, no, yeah, they lost to the Steelers, lost to the Raiders because they're 8-2, and then they're on an 8-game win streak.
Well, let's double check real quick on my end.
But yeah, while he's looking at that, like their schedule has been blessed, but either way, they like you guys have said, they are winning those games. And between for the last
week
2
1
weeks,
was the Raiders, week 3 was the Steelers, and they beat Miami week 2.
okay.
Just to clarify. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure.
No, yeah, you're good.
Wait, the point is they're good though.
Yeah.
No, the point's still the same. They're good.
But still, like they have just okay, yeah, they've been on their 7-game win streak, and their past 2 wins have been against, I think, were their first real challenges. I'm not saying every other week was a bye week, but like this was their first two challenges. The Atlanta Falcons, they went in there, punched them in the mouth, and New England responded. And then and then this past week, the Buccaneers, I still have Baker in MVP conversations, as crazy as that sounds. But
He still played well.
he's still playing great. But then it's like, wow, they still won. And then it's like they are like the Seahawks of the AFC, where they're winning. They look kind of fun doing it, and they're more consistent when other teams aren't. I'm just waiting to see them go against more competition when it isn't the week 3 Steelers that decide to be Super Bowl contenders all over again.
Alrighty, it's time for one sentence, one pick, and we're going to be right back to New England here in just a second anyway. So it's a good thing we kind of ended with them. We'll look at the results from this past week. All right. I was in last place. Jake was the king. So there you go there.
As the king. Don't get it twisted.
Jake was the king. As we move on to this week's slate of games, Jake is running away with this competition so far. I made some bad picks, put myself in last place. And what's funny, though, is I got every primetime game right, every 425 game right, and I got every other game wrong, though, the 1 o'clock slate, except New England, Tampa Bay. So that's just essentially that. And I did not get I don't know if it's considered prime time, but I did not get the Germany game right. Atlanta, Indianapolis. I guess that's prime time. So I got one prime time game wrong, but is that considered prime time, guys? In all honesty?
No,
I don't know.
Not in the TV world. It is not.
Okay.
I don't know, but all I know is that I'm in the happy medium.
All right. Well,
You're in the best spot, man. You're cooking. I'm honestly trying to get to second. Like every week I've been picking to get second.
yeah.
And I keep cooking. Sucks,
Jake,
bro.
I mean, you get to pick where we go to dinner, Jake, if you want.
I want second. You don't understand. I'm not a
So
good
you want
picker.
Matthias or I to pick, and you want to just enjoy whatever
I get to enjoy the ride.
I want one of you to pick and one of you to pay, and me to just get a nice dinner. That I don't have the low stress.
Okay.
But instead,
you're picking. You're picking. You said for us to get ready for Cracker Barrel. I mean,
oh yeah, but then I found a loophole.
okay.
So now I have a
Yeah,
loophole.
I remember this.
Oh, he's got the loophole. All right. Well, I'm not
That's
so
the
sure
only
if that's an
the only
exciting
thing I'm
pick or
excited
not.
about if I win is the loophole that I found.
All right. Well, I'm not so sure if I'm excited about it, and I don't know if I want to.
I don't think you are, Mister. As last place, I don't think you should be excited.
Typically, we talk 2.5 minutes on the Thursday night game, but we'll keep it simple this week because it's the Jets Patriots. I don't know if there's much to say about this one. Let's start with Jake. Who are you picking?
I'm gonna
One
take
sentence, one pick.
I'm gonna take New England.
All right.
Drake might be the MVP.
Matthias.
New England, Drake May continues his pseudo MVP campaign.
Why do I want to pick the Jets just because they're hot right now? I can't do it.
Please pick the Jets.
I'm picking New England, but still, part of me wants to pick the Jets. I don't know, but I'm taking the safe route here. If anything last week taught me is to take the safe route on some of these picks. I'm taking New England here. Washington and Miami. Dan Quinn's taking over the defensive play calling. What do you guys think?
This is at 9:30.
Ew.
I'm sleeping in, dog. Sleeping in.
No, it's in Madrid.
Oh, no, it's in Madrid. It's a Spain game. Is that the first NFL game in Spain?
Yeah, I think so.
Probably.
Right.
They're going to enjoy that field.
Well, first NFL game on the Iberian Peninsula, Jake. Who are you picking?
I do like Iberia. I'm gonna take, dude. I don't know, Miami. I don't even have a sentence, dog. I'm not watching this game. I'm sleeping in.
Matthias.
I have Miami in a very unconfident win.
I'm also going to take the Dolphins here. Commanders. No, I'm going Commanders. That's it.
Los
scoring.
Delfines. Pora Victoria. I don't know what that meant. That was supposed to be Spanish. It
You,
was close. Delfines is right. I know that for sure.
What does that mean?
That
it
was
is.
the Dolphins for the win.
Yeah,
Okay.
you
Sort of.
did say it.
Well, you know what? Part of me wants to go back to Miami before we move to Green Bay, New York Giants. I don't know why. Can I go
I
back?
know Delfines is definitely Dolphins.
Can I
Yeah.
go back and say Miami, or should I write it out because I switched to Commanders really quickly?
Hey, that's your choice.
No, you said
I'm
that
doing
we
Miami.
had.
I'm taking Miami locked in. Wait, what was that, Matthias?
I was going to say you said we had until the end of the pod to change it.
Okay,
Yeah.
Miami. Locking it in Miami. I'm going Miami.
Right.
Green Bay, New York Giants. Jake, go ahead.
In Jameis we trust. Go Giants.
Matthias.
Packers. I don't want a sentence.
Packers, I also don't want a sentence.
Let's go
Houston at
Giants.
Tennessee.
Big Blue Nation.
Houston at Tennessee, Jake, go ahead.
Houston. Better team. Better coach.
Matthias.
Houston, General Mills, part of a complete breakfast.
In Davis Mills we trust. I'm going the Texans. Next game is Carolina at Atlanta. Jake, you go first. Yeah.
I'm going to take the Atlanta Falcons.
He's going Atlanta. All right, Matthias, go ahead.
Give it to Bijan. That's my sentence. Let Bijan cook.
Matthias.
Yeah, I'm going to take Falcons, and my sentence is Jake took it first. Now I seem unoriginal.
I'm going Carolina. I mean, they lost to the Saints pretty badly. They're not going to lose that badly again, I don't think. To the
No, man.
Chicago at Minnesota.
I hate both of those teams.
Chicago at Minnesota. You hate both of them, or Carolina and Atlanta?
Carolina and the Falcons. I have no ill will towards
That is
Chicago
kind of a
or
snooze
Minnesota.
That's kind of snooze fest. I mean, I'll say this: I'm not a huge Caleb Williams fan, but I'm not really a huge JJ McCarthy fan either, though. So Chicago and Minnesota. Jake, go ahead.
Minnesota. Brian Flores better than Caleb Williams.
Matthias.
That's the difference.
I'm going with Chicago.
You love picking the Bears, man. You just love the Bears.
I was going to say, I guess
the
I'm a
Bears
Bears
aren't
fan
winning
now.
this one, man. I'm going Minnesota too.
Oh wait, never
Matthias
mind.
loves the Bears.
Never mind.
You're changing it?
Yeah, DeAndre Swift and Rome Odunze is questionable.
All right, Minnesota.
And yeah, they're not winning without those.
Yeah, the Bears are going to win
Minnesota,
for sure.
Oh, wait.
For sure.
So Minnesota, Chicago, Minnesota.
No, we're all taking Minnesota.
We're all taking Minnesota.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Okay.
Full.
Chargers, Jaguars. Jake.
Chargers.
Matthias.
Chargers, look at Justin Herbert's season.
You guys know I already said it. I'm giving up on Trevor Lawrence. I am taking the Chargers. Tampa Bay at Buffalo. Let's start with Jake.
What's the weather forecast for this game? Is it going to snow yet? Okay, it's not going to snow, so that doesn't make it any easier. Buffalo at home. Home teams are more likely to win than road teams. That's analytics, baby.
Matthias.
Tampa Bay, Emeka Egbuka.
In Tampa, we trust. I'm taking the Bucks as well. Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. It's not like that primetime game. This is reverse.
This is the real game.
This is the other game was real too. It counts. So are they going to split the series, Matthias? Since you're the Steelers fan, I'll start with you for this one.
I'm picking the Steelers, and my sentence is please.
But not Matthias, Jake. Sorry.
I'm going to take the Steelers.
All right.
Play Renegade in the fourth quarter. They just win some games that they shouldn't win. This is one of them.
I remember I picked Cincinnati in the primetime game. Not this time. I'm taking the Steelers. San Francisco and Arizona. Matthias, we'll start with you.
I got the 49ers, and my sentence is Kyle Shanahan can have 8th grade kids that will probably pay better than the Cardinals.
All right, Jake. Why San Francisco?
I'm taking San Francisco. My sentence is prayers to Marvin Harrison because he got appendicitis and that sucks.
Yeah, I was gonna say why San Francisco just because I assumed you were picking them. I'm picking San Francisco too. No sentence for me. Seattle and the Rams. This might be the hardest game to pick, honestly, this weekend. I'm honestly, truly deciding which one I should pick, but I think I know.
Still
Jake,
haven't decided.
you still haven't decided, so we'll start with Matthias then.
You start with Matthias.
Awesome.
Sorry, bro. We can move on to hold on, time out.
I know who I'm picking. I'm taking
Time
the
out.
Rams, so I'll just put the Rams in for me. Go on. You guys have to pick.
Because here's the deal. Can we just move on to the next game because it's easy?
Yes, we could go Kansas City at Denver.
No, I meant Browns Ravens because it's
Kansas
easy.
City at Denver is not easy.
Okay,
No.
fine. Baltimore. Okay, fine.
Here's an easy one. Baltimore. My sentence is Dylan Gabriel sucks.
All right,
Okay.
Matthias, go ahead.
Baltimore, because the Browns fan said Baltimore.
I'm taking Baltimore as well.
Okay.
All right, now do we want to go to Philadelphia and Detroit, or do we want to go to back to Seattle and the Rams?
Let's go back to Seattle. I didn't spend any of that time thinking, but I just wanted to stall.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I know I just did that whole bit. I'm taking the Rams.
You are taking the Rams. Okay. Matthias.
That was my only holdup was that I just did that whole bit about how great Seattle is, but I'm taking the Rams.
Okay.
Because I think the Rams are really good too.
I am picking Seattle, and my sentence is whoever wins this game, I like coming out of the NFC.
Oh, all right.
That might be the best.
We're going a mile high. Denver, Colorado.
Wait, what was your sentence?
Denver. What? Oh, my pick?
Yeah.
I picked the Rams earlier, and I forgot that.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I said the Rams earlier before you skipped it. So, yeah, I'm taking the Rams myself. Matthew Stafford's the MVP, guys. Kansas City, Denver. Let's go. Jake, you're first.
Denver, because they find ways to win.
Matthias.
I have Kansas City, and my sentence is this is the first domino that falls for Denver.
I will say first domino that falls for Denver as well. I will replicate that. I'm taking the Chiefs. All right. We did Baltimore, Cleveland. I don't know why that game's at 425 and who insists on watching it at 425. It's me, but we all took the Ravens on that one. Philadelphia at Detroit. Let's go to Matthias.
Nope, other way around.
What?
Detroit at Philadelphia.
Oh, my bad. Detroit at Philadelphia. Okay. Go ahead, Matthias, you're first.
I have the Lions. I like the team more.
Jake.
Great. I was going to take the Eagles, but now I kind of don't want to because Matthias took the Lions, but I'm playing for second place, so I'm taking the Eagles.
Well, I might be playing for last or I'm trying to at least catch up this week. So because Jake's in first place, I have to take the Lions. All right. Dallas.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
So you want the Eagles to win? The Eagles winning helps you.
I know. At this point, I'm accidentally cooking, bro. It's annoying.
Dallas.
Oh no, my steak is too juicy.
My gold shoes are too tight. What a shame.
All right. I don't know why they made this a primetime game. It's stupid. But who's gonna watch the Dallas Raiders game? Honestly. All right. Jake, you could start.
I'm gonna take Oakland.
You're taking Oakland. Okay, I see. Matthias.
That's a joke. That's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. I'm not actually taking the Raiders. I just needed to make that joke. I'm taking
You're
Dallas.
taking the Cowboys. Okay.
Yeah, no, Las Vegas.
Matthias, go ahead.
I needed that drop that joke.
Matthias, go ahead.
I'm taking Dallas because somehow they're more of a team than Las Vegas.
Part of me, but the Cowboys have played bad against bad teams this year. That's the one thing that's weird. They've played bad against bad teams. I have this desire to take the Raiders, and I'm taking the Raiders. I'm going for it. I'm going Las Vegas here. I might be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I will kick myself for it, but I'll move on. I'll move on. I'll be all right. But I'll be kicking myself if I get this one wrong. I'm pretty sure the Raiders are going to win this game. The Cowboys haven't played good against bad teams. Now, if the Cowboys win, I don't think I'd be surprised either. But yeah, I'm taking the Raiders. Lock it in stone. Moving on. That's one sentence, one pick. Here are the picks that we selected for this week. Take a
Why
look
did
at
I
all
take the
those.
Giants?
The Giants.
What's I doing? What in the world? That's crazy, bro.
You said famous
I just
Jameis. You're taking the
remembered that I
Giants,
did
is what you
that.
literally said.
That's crazy. You guys remember when I took Carolina to beat the Bills and it was 41-0? Because I remember.
Well, this is your last chance. Do you want to change the Giants?
Nope.
Okay, he's riding out. He's going New York on this one.
Fired Coach Bump.
All right. He's taking the Giants. He's sticking with it. All right.
Just looked at that and realized what I did.
Those are the
Whoopsie.
picks this week, and that's your score at the top, 31, 33, 36. Jake up front in week 11. We'll find out who's picking dinner and who's buying as the weeks go on. It's looking more and more likely like Jake may clinch picking and I may clinch paying, but we're still 5 games apart from each other. The little games matter, and that could happen this week because Jake and I notice, have some differences. So we'll see. We'll see.
Hey, man, I'm playing for second, so if you win, congrats.
Well, if I catch up, it doesn't necessarily help me either way if I want to pick because Matthias is probably going to hop up to first place. But I'm also not against second place in theory, but paying for it, I think, is
I'm rooting for me to
easier.
get second and Andrew to get last. That's how I want this to play out.
All right, so he
I'll
wants
take it.
Matthias catch up, and he wants dinner from your pal Andrew. All right.
Yeah, that's how I want this to go.
It's time to talk some basketball, gentlemen.
Oh, my
Oh my
favorite sport.
gosh.
I'm so excited.
Matthias, I know you definitely have a lot to say because the NBA had a crazy week, but we got to start off with the biggest headline probably of the week. Nico Harrison is done. He is done. Super flag wasn't enough to save his job. The question I think that remains with Dallas fans is why did it take this long? Matthias, the floor is yours to discuss.
Yeah, that was my question. Why the heck did it take so long? And I guess the ownership was like, let's hear him out. And like even with getting Cooper Flag has been struggling, which it just happened. And like if you get first round,
Rookie.
I mean, yeah, I was going to say like he's going through rookie slumps. Like if you were expecting him to do rookie Luka numbers in his first year, you were expecting a lot out of him because I remember having conversations with people about how Luka should be an all-star his rookie year. Like he played great. But like, yeah, Nico Harrison, I think he's also part of the Brian Daboll thing where he is a piece that has fallen, but more needs to fall in Dallas. But yeah, what do you guys think? Jake, well, Andrew, if you have any thoughts, I can start with you.
Andrew can go
I just
first.
wonder why it took this long. I don't know why they didn't make this move the day after the Luka Doncic trade. In all honesty, like I would have fired him then.
I do think
That was such an idiotic move to begin with. I mean, listen, Cooper Flag, I think he's going to be great. He's a rookie. He's going to struggle in his first year. Wemby struggled in his first year in the NBA, and look at what Wemby's doing now. I mean, please, Cooper Flag will be fine. He got lucky. He got lucky that Dallas got the first overall pick. Nico Harrison should have been fired the day after the Luka Doncic trade because that was an insanely stupid trade for a team that was contending for a championship. I don't want to hear any more excuses. He should have been gone the next day. And Dallas still would have been paying the price for it. But he should have never been allowed to make that trade to begin with. Where was Dallas Mavericks ownership? I know Mark Cuban's a minority owner now, but Dallas Mavericks ownership should have stepped in and prevented that from happening. Jake, I want to leave you some time.
Well, I think Matthias kind of brought up an interesting point, and I heard my good friend who I've never met, King of the Fourth Quarter, Kenny Beecham, talk about this on his show because I watched his little pod that he did on it. You have to give the man the opportunity, like you got to hear him out, and you have to give him every opportunity to let the plan that he put in place and see if it's going to work. And is it a disaster? Yeah. Was it a stupid plan? Absolutely. Did it work? Hell no, it didn't work. But you have to let a stupid plan either work or not work. You either trade 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson and it backfires in your face and it doesn't work, or you do it and it does work. And they had to give Nico Harrison the opportunity to see if his plan was going to come to fruition, and it didn't. And it took, yeah, it probably should have taken less time than this, but you also got the number 1 overall pick. So you had to think, okay, we're going to have Anthony Davis. We still have Kyrie. We're going to get Cooper Flag. Like, we've got some talent. We've got, let's see how this goes. And it didn't work. And yeah, they could have fired him the day after the trade, but I do think Matthias brings up a good point of at least hear the guy out. Now, he was dumb, but you
Honestly,
can't
it
be
falls on ownership in higndsight because you
you
can't
just can't
let
be
a guy like me.
reactionary and things like that.
I get it. I get it being reactionary, but like to me, it falls on ownership because you can't let a guy like Nico Harrison make that trade. What if like uh I'm just saying this for example. What if Mike Brown I don't even know who the GM of the Bengals is, but like it might be Zach Taylor. I know how they operate as like head coach usually there, but I don't know. But what if the GM of the Bengals just traded Joe Burrow or traded Jamar Chase in the middle of the season
I
for clear blue?
would like to believe that before he pulled the trigger, he probably let the ownership know he was going to trade Luka Doncic. I'd like to believe that he talked to them beforehand.
Mark
I don't.
Cuban came out and said that he was just as surprised as everybody else.
Yeah, Mark
Like in the
Cuban
middle of the
doesn't.
night. I know he's a
That's
minority owner, but still, like Mark
that's
Cuban
Mark
has a pretty
Cuban.
big
That's not.
say in
I
the
I
organization.
I would like to believe that you don't just go and make that move without contacting the ownership of the team and saying, "Hey, am I allowed to do this?" That's my only thing. And you might be right. They might not have known, but Mark Cuban not knowing is a lot different from whoever the full
I
owner
know.
is of the team,
And
because they
Mark
don't have
Cuban's
any
still
right
like
to
a pretty
tell
big
Mark Cuban.
spokesperson for the Mavs. So like that's part of why
Well,
I know
yeah,
that the
but
Mavs
like
he's not the majority owner anymore. I get
I'm
it.
the majority owner in stock in a lot of companies, and they don't tell me when they're about to trade their best player away. So like it's not my job.
I was going to say it'd be like
Mhm.
a trade happening in New York and Spike Lee being like, "Oh, I didn't know."
Yeah. Like
Spike Lee
Amazon does
owned
not
part of
tell
the
me when
Knicks.
they're
I don't
about
think
to
he
trade their
does.
biggest player away. My stock price just goes up or down. Like
But do you think if
I
Dolan knew that the Knicks were going to trade away Jalen Brunson, like you think Dolan's approving that move before any GM does before they trade Jalen Brunson? Like, I feel
It's
like
Dolan.
what
no,
if
and that's why
Toby
like I
Altman
think
traded Donovan Mitchell in the middle of the night? And like, do you think he's not? I mean, he better be talking to Dan Gilbert about that. I don't think Dan Gilbert's just gonna come out and say, "Oh
but
yeah,
I
you can't
no,
make this trade," which he should.
yeah, I think you're right to say that ownership has some blame here, but I also think that Nico Harrison went to the ownership group with a good plan in place and said, "Here's my plan. I think we're going about this all wrong. I think we need to focus more on defense than we need to focus on offense. And I think that our superstar is an offensive superstar and not a defensive superstar." And ownership was like, okay, let's see if it works. And as the ownership group there, you can say, if it doesn't work, who cares? Because we'll just fire the guy
But Luka
and
Yeah.
it'll be
Doncic is
fine.
your best player. How do you
But
trade
like
your
if you
best
trade Luka
player?
Doncic and all of these rumors that he was fat and overweight, I shouldn't say that word. Can you
What do
cut
you think
that word? I don't like that
do you
word.
think the Lakers? Do you think the Lakers like the
So
Lakers
here's
are benefiting off this now? Like
Well,
I think
right,
the
but like,
Lakers better. Like,
what if Nico Harrison was right? What if Luka Doncic was out of shape?
but Luka Doncic hasn't shown that at all.
Well, right, but what if he did? That's what
I
I'm
mean,
saying.
I don't think anyone in Dallas thought that him being out
Somebody
of
did.
shape was hurting how they were playing at all. I do not think that. That's
Nico
me.
Harrison did, and the
I'm not a
ownership
Dallas
did.
Mavericks fan. I don't know the inner workings of their fan base. I don't know if they're all Cowboys fans too. I mean, like I don't know anything about
Well,
that.
no,
I'm
Cowboys
not a
fans root for the
Dallas
Lakers,
native. I
silly.
can't tell you. But like all I know is like the way it looked is it was done in the middle of the night in a shady way. You're probably right. You have to consult ownership on it, but like ownership should know that that's a stupid, stupid move, period. And Nico Harrison, in my opinion, should have been fired the next day. That's me because I think in hindsight, everyone should have known that was going to be a
Can't
disaster.
be
I think
reactionary.
everyone knew it was going to be. Now the Lakers, they didn't care as much, obviously, because they made them better, and the Lakers are all for it. I get that, but like still, like forget about the Lakers' perspective. I mean, from the Mavs' perspective,
Because
that's
that's
incredibly ridiculous, in my
your
opinion.
argument is
I think like if Kobe Altman traded Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland tomorrow, he should be fired. I'm sorry, and I don't think Kobe Altman would do that because that core four is his baby now. But
I'll
still, I'm
I'll
just
counter
saying.
with Andrew Barry made the worst trade in the history of the NFL and still has his job.
And that's fine.
But like your argument
You're
is
not
that he should
wrong.
have been fired the next day, and he should have been fired already because he made the worst trade ever.
I
But it's
I
because
get your point
like
of
you
playing it
can't
out. I get your
be
point of playing it out.
reactionary to a move the day after it happens. You have to give it time to cook. This is where I was going with the Kenny Beecham point was you at least have to let the man you at least have to let him see through his plan before you give up on it, right? You can't just say, we didn't like this decision that you made, we're going to fire you. Because if it worked, let's say they go on and they went to the Western Conference Finals last year with Anthony Davis.
They
And
wouldn't.
you're like, okay, it worked. Like, good job. Yeah, they
They weren't
didn't.
going to do that. But they knew that they weren't. There's no way they
No,
didn't
you see,
know
but
that.
you can't think like that.
But
You
okay, in
knew
the NFL, where I'll give you the difference in the NFL is the NFL it's a 16, 17 game schedule. It's very minimal compared to the NBA where it's
I mean,
80
but we've
games.
also seen it in the
Yeah.
NBA,
But when you get
like
these
with
guys
Sam
together
Hinkie.
on the court, it's different. It's
you
basketball. It's
can't
not
you
football.
can't know that they weren't gonna win. They weren't gonna make the Western Conference
I think
Finals.
everybody knew it. The Dallas Mavericks essentially became a retirement home, just like the Clippers are.
They
I
didn't.
mean, like we saw
If
the
they
other
didn't
way
run it, who
around
did
of
they run
that
into? The
with
Thunder, Matthias?
you said what?
They ran into the Thunder, right?
Who went to
The
the Thunder?
Mavs or
The
the
Mavericks.
Clippers?
Didn't they run into the Thunder in the
Mavericks lost in
playoffs?
the play-in.
Yeah, the Mavericks are out in the play-in, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they weren't going anywhere. And they
But
should have
like
known that in hindsight. And
Well,
I
but the
think
yeah,
they
point
everybody
packed it
would know
in the minute they
everything in
traded Luka.
hindsight. That's why it's
The
hindsight.
minute they traded Luka Doncic to the Lakers, the Cavs like dropped 50 in the first quarter. I mean, like, there's no way to me that it's insane that
I mean, but like
to
we've
me that
seen
that
the
move was
other way
Yeah,
allowed
but
to
around
happen.
in the NBA. We've seen where they like with Sam Hinkie, when Sam Hinkie in 2014 was like, all right, we're the 76ers, we're horrible, we're tanking because we really want this Joel Embiid guy. And 76ers fans are like, what the heck do you mean we're tanking? And he got fired, and then they got Joel Embiid anyways, and then they were like, oh shoot, this Joel Embiid guy was really good, and maybe we should have stuck out with this plan. So then the new ownership, I mean, the new GM came in trying to figure out what Sam Hinkie's plan was supposed to be once he got Joel Embiid. And then since he wasn't the originator of the plan, yes, Joel Embiid is still, it was still turned out to have an amazing career, and they have an amazing, or they had an amazing thing going on in Philadelphia, but they couldn't figure it out because it wasn't the original guy doing the plan. That's why
great.
that's why Nico Harrison did have that little time to flesh it out. Am I saying it's okay? Absolutely not. You gave the Lakers Luka, but like you got to let it ride out a bit.
Yeah, if you're gonna have hindsight one way, you have to have hindsight the other way.
If
Yeah,
them
if you
getting Cooper flagged to me was like the lucky thing, and now like part of me is like, even though I think Nico Harrison deserved it, like to me, like now Cooper Flagg's a rookie, and you should give that more time. Now that I think about that,
well,
too.
yeah,
At the
but
same
like
time, Nico Harrison did deserve it. I'm not gonna
my
argue.
my point is that
Hmm.
when you look back at a situation and say, well, in hindsight, it was a bad idea. We don't get to live in hindsight. We get to live in what happens black and white day to day.
Yeah.
So yeah, in hindsight, it didn't work. But there's a universe where in hindsight, it did work. And the guy looks like a genius. And yeah, like obviously that hindsight was less likely to happen.
Mhm.
But like when we traded 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson, I didn't think it was not going to work. I thought, oh my God, this is going to work. We have the future of our franchise. And it didn't work. So the benefit of hindsight is that you get to use hindsight and look back and see what actually happened. And in hindsight, it was the worst trade in the history of the NFL. But at the time, I thought, oh my God, it's Deshaun Watson. So
At the time,
I think,
everyone thought this was a bad trade, and I still feel like everyone knows it's a bad trade. Like the NBA, what's just so different about it is like these are superstars.
Andrew, you're just not getting my point
I
here.
get your point. You got to let it play out. I'm not arguing.
That's all I'm saying.
But like I
Yes,
feel like
was
when
it a
you
bad
have
trade? Yeah.
superstars, you
But
gotta
like
be
there
like
was a
when you have
universe where it
superstars.
worked. No?
When you have superstars to me in the NBA, because superstars in the NBA aren't like superstars in the NFL. When you have superstars in the NBA, to me, and you move off them, unless there's like a reasonably reason to believe you're tanking, I don't see why that move made any sense. That's just me. And there was no evidence when they made that move that the Mavericks were tanking.
No, they were
Everybody
changing their
believed they were
strategy because
competing.
their strategy wasn't
Everybody was
working.
competing for. They were coming off a finals appearance. It made no sense, and I stand by it, and I stand down by what I said. I don't necessarily disagree with you guys on letting things play out. I don't necessarily disagree with you on the Deshaun Watson perspective. I get it, but to me, you have to let a guy like that go as soon as you can because that move was idiotic, and I think right away everyone knew it.
The
Literally,
problem with
the
that
NBA, you
that
know this stuff more in advance too.
the problem with
That's just the
that
way the league
philosophy
is.
is if you were going to fire him the next day, then you would have just vetoed the trade and not done it. That's why you don't fire him the next day. Because you can't, as an ownership group, say, we knew he was going to make this trade, we let him make this trade, and then we fired him. Because then you're the bad guy. You can't just say, oh, we let him trade away Luka Doncic, and then the next day we decided to fire him. Because then you look like the moron. You have to let the plan play out. That's all I'm saying to you is they were never going to fire him the day after he made the worst trade ever because then the ownership people look like the dumb people. Now they can kind of pretend that Nico's dumb because, well, he is dumb, but they can pretend that it wasn't their fault because they let Nico execute his bad plan.
All right, and with that, we are going to move on. I'm taking over.
All right,
No, we
5
really
minutes
should
for the
have
rest of
nothing
the
left in the
NBA.
pod. I kind of feel like that's where we got to end today.
Man,
Well, we got a few more NBA headlines to hit, so let's.
I don't have
guys
anything
take
else
the
to
floor.
say.
All
we're
right.
gonna run through this one. This is my show now. But yeah, just the Cavs. I was talking about last week about how the Bulls were playing phenomenally. The Cavs and Bulls played against each other, and on a 12-0, well, even though the Cavs were down 112 to 116 at one point, Cavs went on a 12-0 run and closed it out with Donovan Mitchell playing like the superstar that he is, and the Bulls had a 90% chance of winning it, and just absolutely the Cavs tore it up. Last night, no, 2 nights ago. Okay, as the recording of this pod, this past Monday, absolute banger slate of games. Wizards and Pistons that went into overtime, 135 to 137. Trailblazers and Magic, which off of a phenomenal game winner by Desmond Bane, which Desmond Bane is finally coming back. My fantasy team needed it. 112 to 115 off of a game-winning 3-point buzzer beater. The Cavs and Heat went into overtime. Donovan Mitchell with one of the craziest 3-point fadeaways in the corner that I've seen since Steph Curry did in the playoffs with his eyes closed against the Pelicans. But it got turned around by a Miami Heat lob with 0.4 seconds left. The Spurs and Bulls.
It was the worst defense I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, 140.
What are we doing, bro?
The Heat are fun. That's all I'm going to say.
That might have tonight.
That was your best
take.
We're
recording this podcast. It's yesterday, as if you're watching on Thursday.
That might have been your best take of the pod because the Heat are fun. That was awesome.
Yeah,
the Heat are fun.
They keep playing fun and they keep playing well, which is so weird from what we've been seeing because you don't expect that out of Heat culture. What you also don't expect is how the Bulls are playing everybody close still, and they're still winning some games. But on that Monday slate, they lost to Wembanyama and the Spurs, which it kind of felt like people are quote unquote figuring out Wembanyama. I said quote unquote because he still had 18 and 18. And then the Bucks and the Mavericks, they had a barn burner, but it went down to the wire, and Giannis made a step back for the win against the Pacers, but Giannis also carried the Bucks to a close win there, and this season has been absolutely insane. Like, for example, Luka right now is averaging 37 points, 9.4 rebounds, and 9.1 assists, and I have not heard a single MVP conversation for him. Like, this league has just been absolutely stacked. The Thunder are still playing well. They have been shooting. They have been shooting poorly from three, but they're still winning. Like this is an amazing season to watch the regular season. I am so excited. And I need to start watching more because I feel like I'm missing too much. Another thing that I want to talk about is I would like your guys' input too. But with Ja Morant, it just kind of seems like his career's going downhill is an understatement. Like he's just making a straight nosedive. And it's just reminding me of what we saw from Terry Rozier without the betting scandal. Jake,
Is he bad, or are the Grizzlies just so bad that it's like making? Because I saw some John Morant trade rumors this week, and it's like, is he one of those guys that you just get him out of bad and he turns good again? Because I haven't admittedly watched a lot of Grizzlies basketball over the last 2 seasons.
Grizzlies were
Rightfully
good
so.
last year. I mean,
They were,
yeah, to me,
and
it
Ja was
feels
really
like
good in that playoff series too, wasn't he?
okay. I mean, the Oklahoma City Thunder swept them. I mean,
Yeah,
to
but
yeah,
me,
that doesn't mean, I mean, that they're,
I
that's the
don't
thing.
think the Grizzlies have a bad team constructed around Ja. To me, it's just Ja is just a dysfunctional player. He's had a lot of off the court issues. He's had a lot of stuff take place on the court, even that has caused him to be suspended from games and miss time. I mean, he's a controversial basketball player, and I still think he's very talented. I think it's unfortunate for the Grizzlies that they're in this situation because I do think they have talent. I think they've constructed a good roster around him. I don't know. It's really weird to me, but I think like the big thing is off the field stuff is piled up, off the court stuff, excuse me, and so is the on the court stuff to a degree. And because of that, John Morant is he's not the most likable basketball player, in all honesty. That's just me.
yeah, Jake, I'm going to leave it as this. He is showing the same signs as when James Harden wanted to leave Houston.
Well, and I
We might want to leave Memphis. I mean, Memphis is
I
not
think I bet he does
necessarily.
want to leave
Yeah,
Memphis. I think that's what Matthias is saying.
yeah. I mean, it's still like, but who's going to want
He,
John Morant?
I think a lot of people would want John Morant. Now, I'll say this from a Grizzlies standpoint, he's older than I thought he was. I did not know he was already 26. So I think you got to move him now. I thought he was still like 23, and it was like he's still like your up and coming young superstar. He's 26. It's kind of make or break. You're at that age where it's time to be a traded superstar.
I
Yeah.
I
guess
think,
we'll find
and I
out.
think he will have suitors. I think there's a lot of teams out there that would love to have a John Morant come be their second or third option in their team on their offense
Mhm.
and have him facilitate. I
Unfortunately,
off the top
un-
of my head, I don't know
Mhm.
because I just don't.
unfortunately, I don't even think he's playing up to that caliber. I'm keeping this short because it is running late. Not the specialty show on 88.3 The Sting, but yeah,
Shout out to
it's
our buddy Todd Richards if he's watching.
but
If he's watching, I'm shocked.
But
He supports us
the
a
long
lot.
and short of it is Ja Morant is barely even playing as a starting role. And when he is playing, it just looks like he has no heart. And even in the press conferences, all the questions that are about his play, he says, talk to the coaches.
So he just wants to leave. He just wants the who was that? Eric Bledsoe barbershop. I hate it here, tweet or
Yeah,
whatever
I
it
hate
was.
it here. But
Well,
yeah.
Because
I guess we'll find out.
we see this all the time, right? Especially in the NBA. Guys just check out from the current team that they're playing for, and then they get traded somewhere, and they're like, haha, just kidding. I love basketball again.
Not other than Eric Bledsoe, we've only really seen it from a star was James Harden.
Well, not even like they're still playing good, but like there's a lot of, I just feel like you see a lot of,
There is
you
a
kind
lot
of
of like
know,
animosity that gets
yeah,
between
like you
players.
see a
Yeah.
lot of NBA superstars or stars or whatever you want to call Ja at this point in his career. You kind of know when they're checked out of where they're playing.
Yeah.
Like it kind of even happened to Donovan in Utah. And he's not the kind of guy that would quit, but like I fairly confident that he was like, I'm done.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the one other thing I wanted to just chime in here was the Indiana Penn State game briefly, but we don't have to make a big segment about it. Uh, To me, Indiana had no business playing Penn State that close. It should have been a bye week for them, and it wasn't.
Yeah, it's almost like you can't overlook any team in the conference because you might actually lose, and no game should ever be a bye week.
It was a bye week.
And you didn't respond to my
End
text,
of the
and I'm mad at you for it.
show.
All right,
End
thank
of
you
the
guys so
show.
much for watching.
You didn't respond to my
Shout out
text.
to John
Like,
Vicari.
comment, and subscribe.
Yes, follow us.
Boy, we got off the rails
I'll let
quick there,
Matthias
Dave.
I'll let Matthias close this one out. He took over, so.
All right, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Raw Takes & Co. My name is Matthias. Joined by my top left and top right has been Jake Malensic and Andrew Hody. And make sure to follow all of our socials. You know the good thing. I love DK Metcalf. I miss your comments. But
Did not comment on the last
Yeah, where
video.
was he? Where were you at?
I don't know. I know who runs the account. He did not comment.
Matthias, get your burner back up and running, pal.
I love DK Metcalf. Comment on this video. We'd appreciate it.
Comment who was right in the Luca argument and why it was me and Matthias.
we will see you next week.
I think you'd be on my side. Have a good one, everybody.